Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's broadcast of the Aegis Defenders League. We are finishing out the play-ins today with Sparta taking on Omega Gaming Unleashed to determine who is going to get that coveted spot in the playoffs and who is going to have to call their ADL season over early. My name is Gordo. I am joined tonight by Trajan. Trajan, welcome back to the ADL stream, my man.
It is good to be back, Gordo. I'm really excited for the match that we have going on here tonight as we can kind of see the first bands already coming in for both teams, both fighting for their lives right now. Since this is our final week of play-ins, the winner of this will advance to the playoffs, and the loser will unfortunately have their season cut a little bit short. And I know both teams really want to vie for that one of those final spots this season.
Yeah, Sparta, especially, kind of crazy for them to be here, to be in this position. These guys have been ranked, especially in the community polls, super highly the whole season long. Looking at the history right here: first, third, second, third in consecutive weeks, back to back to back. But just ended up in a group with two other teams that also went 4-1. Had to be the odd one out, head ahead of these play-ins. Got upset last week by Ivy Gaming Black, and now are facing off against Omega Gaming Unleashed here in an elimination match. They're gonna first pick the Thresh here, and Cathalda is certainly going to have to make that pick work out here as their backs are up against the wall, and they're gonna have to make it work right here, right now.
Yeah, the Thresh pick for Cathaldus, it's been banned away a couple of times. Hasn't been a champion that they've really put a lot of priority on. We've seen him play a lot of Rel, some Seraphine games. The one game on Thresh didn't go Sparta's way, unfortunately. But the Senna pick is really interesting for me here with a potential set. So it might be a fasting Senna, but they have a really good flex opportunity here because with the recent buffs to Senna EDC, where her soul count is higher, it is more viable to put her in that position now. So OGU just opening up with a couple of relatively strong flex picks, in my opinion. Set just being that really, really strong early to late game champion that can just kind of one shot and delete backlines with a single haymaker.
Yeah, Set Senna, a bot lane duo that we've actually seen Sparta bust out already this season. Omega have not locked it in as of yet, but I've covered this team in other leagues over the years, over the months, I guess, more so than years, and they have been ones who are willing to bust out some interesting lane combos with this Senna support. So curious to see what they are going to want to take with it down there. Ezreal and Olaf now going to be lock-ins for the side of Sparta, going to guarantee that they're going to have a super safe bottom lane here with that duo and a really aggressive, proactive jungler in the form of the Olaf. The Graves now being hovered by the side of Omega. It was picked last week by the side of Fallen Artemis. We'll see if he wants to take it again here and now.
Yeah, really interested to kind of see what direction Sparta wants to go with this composition right now because you have the scaling of the Ezreal, you have the early game proactivity of an Olaf, and it does look like it will be the Graves lock in for OGU. And I'm going to be completely partial to this, Gordo, but right now it just seems like the jungle meta has become very, very, I won't say stagnated, but you've seen a really strong shift back to some previous champions. Like in professional play, we've been seeing a lot of Trundle getting picked up right now here. I think that champion is just absolutely great, as a lot of any viewers who know me personally can personally attest to. But with the Graves getting locked in there, you have that kind of mid game carry available for OGU to kind of let this Senna get those souls, scale up, and be able to become that late game menace that can outrange anyone from the side of Sparta here.
Yeah, should definitely be coming out there. Carry champion for the side of Fallen Artemis has really made a name for himself on that Kindred in particular. Quite adept at those marksman based junglers. Now going to be adding another one to the repertoire in the form of the Outlaw here. Irelia and Jace going to be the bans here. Top lane's going to be targeted early on. Seraphine now being hovered on as a potential
Mhm.
pick for the side of Stop Aim Me, who does appear to be, to my knowledge, back in the roster. Did miss last week for that matchup where they were
Mhm.
upset by the side of Ivy Gaming Black. Now is going to be back on the team here to make their potentially last stand if Omega are able to come on out with it and pull off the upset to get themselves into the playoffs here.
Yeah, and from what I'm seeing so far, being completely honest, I think uh what OGU is trying to force Sparta into here is a Silas pick. The ultimates for OGU are really great, don't get me wrong, but if Silas tries to throw himself into the team with a set alter, tries to take the Graves ult and use that explosive buckshot, it's not going to be as impactful as what you would get out of some other champions. And I feel like that's what they're kind of trying to force, or at least look to get stop Amy in that general direction on one of these short range melee champions, be it a mage or a an AD assassin.
Yeah, absolutely. Here now, Smalcrum. hovering on this Ornn, that would be another ultimate that would be great to steal if they do go for the locked in Silas here, although there are the concerns that you did just raise to the front of mind, Trajans. We'll see if they do end up biting the bullet and going for that selection here. Going to be both solo lanes necessary to be locked in for the side of Sparta here, unless we're seeing some Adam-esque Olaf top coming through for them here in their final game of the play-ins. I have to see what they want for the sides of solo and stop ain't me. And that
Ooh,
Trundle makes you wonder,
show me the
honestly, as
trundle.
it is going to be one of these guys traditionally taken into
Oh,
the jungle, going into the top lane. I would expect it to be the Trundle before I'd expect it to be the Olaf, especially because it's facing off against this Ornn. But yeah, definitely a spicy pick to be coming on through here.
yeah, and that matchup is actually really interesting, right? Because Trundle, normally you think about, he's a really good early game bully. You want to be able to take aggressive trades against your laner, but Ornn has a really high amount of base damage in his kit, so fighting him pre-6 can be a very, very dangerous proposition. So you want to always be careful about that, because top lane Trundle, you're still going Divine Sunder, and you generally try to get a Sheen first. You don't have the ability to heal up as much from the jungle camps with your passive, so you're going to be significantly more vulnerable in that lane. And it does look like they are going to lock in a Victor here. So kind of rounding out their composition now, they have a couple of scaling late game threats on their team, and Victor's a really good addition into rounding this out, preventing some more aggressive plays, but also being able to kind of cut off those choke points that OGU
Ooh.
really want to be fighting in with the Anivia lock in here. And I really like this option for OGU here.
Yeah, I really like it as a combo with the Graves, especially. You can set up for those WQ combos. And also, I just really like this for Omega Gaming Unleashed in general here. This is a super hard scaling team comp they've gone for here. They have that marksman in the jungle. They have the Ornn coming through with those upgrades. Anivia, a famously powerfully scaling mid laner. And the Senna, of course, does scale infinitely coming through in that bottom lane, duoed up with the set. And that's great for the side of Omega Gaming Unleashed. These guys are a late game team fight focused team. They have the longest game time in the league. It's not even particularly close. They're about a minute and 30 seconds ahead of the second longest game time out of anybody here. And these guys just love to play together, to play for late game team fights. You can see it across all the stats. They have all really high kill participation for their roles. And that just means that when they're getting kills, they're doing it together. They're doing it in a team fight oriented setting. And that's what this team comp's built to do, Trajan.
Yeah, 100%. And it's a really good way to kind of answer the early game pressure that Muscle wants to have on this Olaf, right? Like, Olaf, because of his Ragnarok, it's really hard to just draft anything that can be super combative against him unless it creates terrain, right? You have the Ornn that makes a pillar, which is not super relevant, but you have the Anivia wall, which if Olaf tries to red at you because he is a linear champion, you're just going to put up the wall, call the day, and it's not going to matter, right? So the answers from OGU feel very calculated through at each step here. They've taken into consideration what Sparta wants, and it feels like they've drafted themselves into a relatively good position here, as long as the early game is as quiet as they'd like it to be.
Yeah, definitely going to want a quieter early game here, especially in that top lane. That's really where they did not get the opportunity to have the response pick there. They did not get to see any of the opponents before they locked on in their champion of choice. And as a result, they've been pretty harshly counterpicked. The Trundle up against the Ornn will be super strong in the 1 versus 1 early on. And it's going to be it's really probably never going to get too much better for the Ornn, at least in a 1v1 scenario. That Subjugate going to steal away all of the bonus tank stats that Ornn's passive does give him. It is going to continue to enable Solo to just really be able to focus in onto that 1 versus 1 matchup and be a super powerful split pusher in this game. One that, you could potentially answer with the Anivia in the later game when she can just delete waves, but that's a pretty far ways away. And until then, Omega Gaming Unleashed are going to really have to struggle. Welcome back, everybody. We are live onto the Rift for Game 1 of the final series of the Aegis Defenders League of Play-Ins. Sparta on the blue side taking on Omega Gaming Unleashed on the red side. Both of these squads coming off of very different group stages, but both in this final match nonetheless, and going to be competing against one another for just one final playoff spot.
Yeah, and as we can see here now, it does look like Sparta's looking for a little bit of some fun up in the top lane. Simulacrum is going to be sitting in that Tri-Brush. Isn't going to spot it out, though, and there was no vision place, so it might have been... it looks like they might have been seen on vision, so...
I don't know. Smalkram just feels
Oh,
something in his bones or something there as he just backs on away right as they're entering into the base. He's
oh
going to see
no.
them coming around this base. The ward going to catch him for boost of success there over the wall. It's going to be a shift over. Try to start getting some damage there.
Pillar.
There's a nice pillar
Oh.
going to force Smalkram to flash over the wall. He's going to start the searing charge. That does mean he is going to be able to escape, but he is going to be down that crucial summoner spell early on in what was already a losing lane matchup for him.
Well, I think we should take a note here is that it is an Olaf top lane for solo lane here. So that is very interesting. But we do see Muscle on the Trundle in the jungle. I like that alteration actually more than the Rumble. And Muscle's going to face check this bush.
Yeah, going to get engaged shot right away, and that's a nice stun coming through from Dibble. They are going to secure first blood for the side of Omega Gaming Unleashed, and they're going to chase down on Cathalus, looking to turn this into 2. He's going to hold on to the flash, knows that he has nowhere left to go, in a 2-0 start in the bottom jungle for the side of Omega Gaming Unleashed. They're going to steal away this red buff as well. An excellent start to this scaling squad.
Yeah, that is exactly what they wanted to get there. With this composition right now, you're happy if you can go even for most of the laning phase. But God, you just were able to pick up 2 kills, 2 assists for the Sun to get some souls. Your Set and Graves both have a kill now, so they're going to be able to accelerate the pace of the game at their leisure. And now, worst of all, you're going to be missing out on a lot of additional XP here for Cathalus, so they're not even going to be able to hit level 2 appropriately. And because Boosted Success started that Arcane Shift, didn't have access to the Mystic Shot, it made it a lot harder to even want to try to look at that red buff, so you just had to concede it without even giving an attempt.
Yeah, a great response to the level 1 from Sparta comes through for Omega. They managed to get a lot more than they lose over the extended trade between those 2 invades. And as you said, Boost Success really set behind early on as a result here is going to take over that level 2. It's going to be Dibble who takes it first. Adjustment has a couple more minions left to go, but they're going to be happy to just kind of slowly farm on out this lane, and they've been given a very easy first couple of levels to be able to do so.
Yeah, you can see the XP advantage coming in clutch right now for OGU. And something we didn't get to mention is Muscle started his pillar. So that clear up on his top side, you can see him clearing right now, is going to be painfully slow. Having to take jump level 2, doesn't have access to the W until level 3, which means that you're not going to be able to get that increased amount of healing. Still relatively healthy because Shundle passive is, well, really good for him here. But we can definitely tell that he's going to be relatively stunted in this game.
Yeah, for certain, that level 1 skill, certainly a valuable resource and one that was expended by quite a few champions on the side of Sparta, finding themselves punished for that one here and now. It is going to be solo lanes Olaf facing off against this Ornn in the top lane. It is going to be that Adam cosplay we talked about earlier on, and so far has been able to navigate it pretty well, has the CS lead in his favor, but Smalkram was able to use some of that early gold he got to be able to pick up a cloth armor, pick up some extra potions, and have a better time sustaining on throughout this lane, as that Olaf has a whole bunch of damage in the form of those undertows if he is able to actually get the chase down across. And it does look like Muscle is looking a path towards the top lane here, but Smalkram going to be able to just charge away.
I really wish you hadn't mentioned Adam, because now I'm just going to start calling people by Fnatic player names again. It's a curse, and it's going to keep happening. But as we make our kind of way into this 5th minute of our game, you do see Trundle's able to successfully reset and get that Sheen. And this is one of the big things about Trundle, too, that I don't necessarily get to highlight a lot, is that you can set Trundle behind early on, but as soon as he hits a Sheen spike, it doesn't matter. The game's really, really hard to begin with. Oh, Dibble going a little aggressive there.
Yeah, styling on him there. Walks right forward, and that is actually going to be pushed in to get a nice haymaker on across both members. Gets the true damage portion. Smalkram and solo lane dishing it out in the top lane, not quite being able to finish off one another. Smalkram taking more damage than he puts out there, but to get a nice start, that's a flash play coming through from Cathalus in the bottom lane. It is going to be the gank coming on through once again from the side of Muscle. Adjustment going to end up falling on down there, and it is going to be Dibble joining them as well. 2 kills go to the Spartan bot lane. They are able to get one onto Muscle, one onto Boost there. Finally, they punish the push that had been obtained by Adjustment and Dibble from the earlier game.
Yeah, oh, mid lane, hello.
All right, Fallen Artemis going to get a nice block there. Princeton with a nicely placed wall, able to stop Amy in his tracks. He's going to try to flash away, is able to do so far, but Fallen Artemis going to finish it off with one more shot, but the turret is going to finish him off. It's going to be a 1-for-1 in the mid lane. Nicely played by Amy. Holds the flash for just long enough, manages to get himself a trade kill.
Yeah, has the wave pushing into himself right now. We saw Fallen Artemis go into the mid lane, and the Dragon is going to get picked up here from Sparta. Those early tank stats going to be a little bit more helpful for the side of them. Stop Amy able to delay the back of Princeton as well. So everything that OGU had in the early game kind of getting undone. Sparta able to pick up 3 quick kills for themselves, burning the flash off of Fallen Artemis on this Graves. And we saw there that Sparta's rotation was just really great. Muscle knew exactly what he wanted to do. You saw Artemis failed the gank in the bot lane, got a little bit of pressure off of them, but as soon as that Graves was gone, Trundle went, it's my time, and just kind of walked into the lane here now and made life a living hell for them. But we do see level 6 is starting to ding in here, and that's something to keep in mind with this is going to be the Anivia, right? Princeton has the ability to get a lot of lane priority with just a simple ultimate, and it's going to be a lot harder for stopping me to kind of keep up with that in this early game.
Yeah, now Cathalda's off the Hex Flash looking for another play. Not going to land the Death Sentence, but Dibble might just be too far out of position anyway. Does have access to the Flash, but does not want to expend it. It's going to end up going down once again to boost his success here. Sparta repeat ganks the bottom lane and comes out with another kill for it. Once again, going to the pocket of boost his success. He is more than made up for that early game mishap.
Yeah, and this is turning to be a slightly disastrous for OGU here now. They've weak-sided Simulacrum up in the top lane, something that he's very well acquainted with. But you're getting pressured out by an Olaf that between Ornn and Graves, you can't kill, right? You need to have either Princeton up there or at least 3 members from the side of OGU to be able to really put a lot of pressure because he has Flash, he has Ragnarok. There's nothing you can really threaten him with. But meanwhile, Artemis and Muscle look like they might get into a little bit of a tussle.
Yeah, Muscle level 4, Artemis level 5, going to come out of the woods work here, looking to finish off onto this red buff, is going to be able to do so, has called over some teammates as well. It's going to be a nice steal coming through for Fallen Artemis, maintaining a CS lead over Muscle's Trundle. Solo lane continues to bully out of Simulacrum in this top lane, though he's not having a good time. 25 CS lead already to the side of this Olaf.
Well, yeah, and look at this. Solo lane hasn't even reset yet. He's still sitting on a simple corrupting potion.
He's still got a tick left of the corrupting potion, too. He's not even needing it.
This is absolutely brutal for what we're seeing up here in the top lane. This Ornn is just begging for things to happen on the map right now because Simulacrum knows that he's stuck. The wave is in a really bad spot for him. It's going to push in, but you have your jungler on the top side now, and because this Ornn is half health, you are going to get threatened with a dive.
Yeah, definitely an issue. Cathalda's going to land another death sentence onto Dibble here. Continuously just getting poked out here pretty substantially. Isn't able to get the CS that he's looking for. Is also substantially behind, almost to the same degree that Simulacrum is. Going to pick up a nice wave for himself here, but that's another death sentence landed onto the side of Adjustment. He's going to take way more damage than his set will. W going to come on across, but Dibble going to be forced to expend the Haymaker just to stay alive. The shield going to protect him for a little bit, but he is going to be forced to expend the Flash. And now this bot lane has to reset. They cannot stay anymore. They are not going to be able to farm this next wave.
Yeah, and just look how Sparta's playing around Fallen Artemis this game. This is insane for them. They know Graves is topside. They know that they have the pressure and that they have a huge lead in their lane. So they're going to push it now because what is Senna going to be able to do against an Ezreal with a Sheen and a Thresh that has Ionian boots, right? You have the ability to move faster than them. You have the cooldown so that you can throw your spells out that much more often. And you don't have to worry about a jungle pressure at all because, well, he's topside and we know he is. So really, really smart decision making here from the laning phase for Sparta from what we've seen so far.
Yeah, and the weak lanes that they've picked for themselves here are really starting to be exploited if Fallen Artemis can't come through and get anybody back into the game. You'd see even Princeton is falling behind here in this middle lane, not by very much, but by just a little bit there, as there is another big wave crashing into stop AME. He's going to increase that lead by just a little bit more. And even if he is keeping as close to even as possible, there's not really going to be any points of power at this rate. Fallen Artemis is really the only one. And as you said, he can't manage to get anything done at this time.
Yeah, and solo lane able to reset, gets the play to steel caps, gets a phage, is going to be more than healthy enough to survive this laning phase now against this Ornn who has the Bramble Vest but doesn't have the tab ice finished, has a perfectly timed top watch that's 3/4 of the way there, but unfortunately 3/4 isn't done yet. So and when you're getting your CS doubled by your laner, it's more than just a feels bad, especially because you've been in lane this entire time, and solo lane does have an XP advantage on him as well.
Yeah, definitely does. He's been able to pick himself up some items wherever possible, has the Bramble Vest, has another cloth armor to boot. So we'll give him a little bit of recompense there, but Olaf has already gotten that phage. Also got the armor boots. That's really going to stop him from taking much damage from these minions once he does actually take aggro. Might actually end up giving him a lot of power to continue to aggress on this Ornus. There's another attempt to the bottom lane. This one's going to be thwarted. Dibble and Adjustment see it coming. Managed to back away. Dibble now going aggressively here. Up against Boost's Success. Pulls him in with the Face Breaker, but does not have much damage to show for it. Dragon's already been started up by Sparta, and it looks like they're just going to claim it for free, Trajan.
Yeah, Sparta's rotations have been spot on this game. Muscle has been all over the map. Doesn't really need to impact top lane, but is there just in case OGU wants to try to force anything. Trundle's counter ganks, incredibly potent, able to disrupt anything with the pillar, subjugate, able to weaken them up, and the return and the return aggressiveness is going to be absolutely insane for them, especially if it's a lane with like an Olaf. And the bot lane right now, Adjustment and Dibble are just getting kind of pushed around by the side of Boosted Success and Cathaldus. This Thresh and Ezreal, not only are they incredibly safe, but now that they have a lead, Ezreal has Divine Sunder done at 11.5 minutes, right? He's going to be able to come into lane, and these Mystic shots are, I mean, half, just two of them are going to do half of Dibble's health bar, right? And now Simulacrum is continuing to just get put into these terrible situations here, trying to crash these waves, but he's just handing solo lane more and more freezes.
Yeah, definitely. Still an issue for Simulacrum in this top lane. Solo lane just going through, throwing axes at him wherever possible, picking up all the farm and keeping the wave frozen for as long as possible. Princeton might be looking upward to try to clear some of this away, but now he's just going to return back to his lane. Knows that there's not too much they can really do there, and honestly, he would be at risk of just getting run down by solo lane as well, much the way that Simulacrum appears to be now. He's going to reckless charge away there, or infernal, or whatever kind of charge it is there, as he manages to get himself just out of dodge, but is taking a whole bunch of damage nonetheless, and is just continuing to get bullied in this top lane. Now, Rift Herald in the bottom lane, going to claim some more turret plates for the side of Boost here. They're going to back on away. Stop me now, going aggressively against Princeton. That's going to be a flash from the bird. There's just very few options for Gaming Unleashed here. They're losing out on every single lane. Unless Fallen Artemis can get some miracles done, it's just going to go from bad to worse.
Yeah, it is. Oh, okay. Root does land. TP comes in. But
it's going to be Princeton trying to make a play happen here. There goes that wall, but it's not quite enough.
Oh
That's
my God.
now landing onto Fallen Artemis. The stun comes through on a Cathaldus. They are able to finish him off on the side of Princeton, but Fallen Artemis is starting to be traded back on. Solo lane has TP'd in. Simulacrum going to join him, but Simulacrum is nowhere near as powerful as this Olaf. It is going to be Princeton falling on down in his egg. Going to be scrambled on up there. Solo lane now diving under the turret. Manages to pick up 2 kills. Ends up getting traded back on by the side of Dibble. And actually, Dibble managed to survive it out as well. It is a 2 for 3 so far. A little bit better than Omega for Omega than it looked at first, but nonetheless, it is going to be in the favor of Sparta. They're going to pick themselves up the first turret in the bottom lane to boot.
Yeah, it looks like solo lane. So not only did solo lane solo 3 people and zone them off of that fight of OGU, but was able to pick up a solo kill onto Adjustment, so being able to get rid of the ADC out of that equation, leaving just Simulacrum and Dibble alive, and they can't do anything to hold this turret that they got pressured so hard on now. And because that first turret has fallen, the gold lead has extended to 3,500 gold in favor of Sparta, and everything that we talked about for OGU, the scaling, the team fight potential for them, it's falling apart. They just had an optimal play up in the bot lane. Well, I won't call it optimal, but that was one of their best case scenarios to make something happen, and it fell apart for them. Your 2 frontline main frontliners got zoned off by an Olaf, and it's because the Ezreal and Thresh were able to delay for so long, and now Simulacrum is just gonna lose half of his health to solo lane.
Yeah, tries to trade back there, does so with very little success, gets a little bit of damage back into Olaf, but he's just going to regen that back up with the vicious strikes. Really is not going to end up sticking onto him there, especially when he has the phage as well. It's going to be really tough to get any damage to stick onto this Olaf. The Ornn does not have very many options here, as we've said time and time again. Going to really need assistance from his other lanes, but his other lanes are in pretty bad positions themselves. Solo lane now charging once again. It's just tough to play, man. It's tough to play. There's very few things that you can really do here. Now, Muscle going in for the dive. Adjustment is here for the backup, but Adjustment might be the one getting ganked in the first place. He's going to fall on down here, or maybe not. Gets a little bit of distance away, but Muscle just chases on him down, bites him, finishes him on off, and now it's going to be the dive coming through out of Simulacrum. He tries to searing charge into the turret to keep the knockup, but it's not going to be landing onto anybody. Solo lane going to pick up that kill. Now Fallen Artemis trying to make something happen in the mid lane. He's going to be forced to dash on away. Stop me. Goes through, flashes forward, gets the ultimate, going to force the collateral damage just to stay alive. Sparta is running the map here. They claim the top lane turret. They force the mid and jungle to back. They might even pick themselves up another one here.
Yeah, and this is just turning into a disaster scenario for them now. All 3 outer turrets are down. Gold lead has expanded up to almost 6,000 gold at just under the 16-minute mark. And we can see here now that the repeated pressure from Muscle in this bot lane, being able to understand where Fallen Artemis is and play around him, is paying off so hard here for them. This Trundle has been able to impact the map so well, and being able to get these crucial pillars and subjugates in these early game skirmishes have just kind of helped to extend the lead in what looked like a really good opener for OGU, where they picked up 2 kills for themselves, were able to set Trundle incredibly far behind, and now it's just like Sparta could care less. They went, this is fine, you got something from us, we're gonna take everything from you now.
Yeah, for certain here. That's going to be almost a 6K gold lead to the side of Sparta. Kind of closer to 5K now. 5.5, we'll call it. But they have picked themselves up 3 dragons here. They are 1 away from that soul point, and they've been keeping pace on that dragon game very effectively here. Going to be a 21 or 22-minute soul. So meanwhile, it does look like Solo Lane going to take advantage of that turret that he's taken down here. Has a lot of room to chase Simulcrum now. The other members of Omega are here, but that just means that Olaf wants to go in even farther. That's going to be the Ragnarok pop to try to chase on in. Gets a bunch of damage on the Fallen Artemis. Not going to be able to pick up anything else, though. Muscle now coming on in for the chase. There is 1 more turret here for Omega to fall back to, so nobody can end up falling on down. Going to call for a pause instead. That is, once again, a fight going in the favor of Sparta there. So they basically just 1v3.
Yeah, as is true Fnatic fashion, the game has been paused. I don't think we quite saw a bug happen, unfortunately. There's no rise in our game, but we do have that coming out. We will get confirmation in a little bit, most likely. But right now, you can kind of see here now that Sparta's just playing so well together. You see Solo Laner having the ability to be this as aggressive as he is with that Ragnarok, with these undertows, chasing this Ornn near his tier 2, when we know there are other members from OGH in the area, but because there is the Thresh, the Dark Passage just is able to save him. It really is, I wouldn't say it's art, but it's definitely really interesting seeing how well this team is playing together. They all seem to be of a similar mindset, and they are working as a unit.
Yeah, for certain here. Sparta really just running away with this one. They've picked themselves up a huge lead here, more than enough to prep themselves for what is going to be this big fight over the 4th dragon. You've got to believe that Omega Gaming are going to want to fight for that one. They're going to have to make a stand. If they give up the Infernal Soul, there's almost no chance for them left. Not really going to be a lot of chance to win the fight, though. Even if they do take it there, it's a pretty dire straits for them at this moment in time. But you got to believe that that's going to be the place where the game gets finally solidified.
Yep, and we can kind of see here now that the second herald of the Gate Rift is going to get picked up. It's a little bit of a jitter there for us as our pause delay does kind of kick in for us. It will get picked up here by the side of Sparta. And as we take a look at it now, every single member on Sparta has a shutdown except for Cathaldus. But, you know, you're a support, but you have your support item done. You have your boots, you have your jungle item done, or your support mythic done. You have the locket available to yourself. So Sparta's really in the driver's seat. They're on soul point. They've got this herald. They can really just look to make these plays at their own leisure now, and really just kind of want to slow the pace of the game down just a little bit for them, because right now it's been kind of non-stop aggression for them. There's no objectives on the map. OGU are going to be sitting in their tier 2 turrets now, so Sparta just needs to start clearing out these jungle camps, starving OGU out of these resources. And you can kind of see here that OGU's jungle, it's lit up like a Christmas tree.
Certainly is here, and you can see everybody just trying to hit those item spikes before this dragon fights Simulcrum, trying to get a mythic done in the first place. He is so far behind here. It's really just coming at him with components, and that is not where you want to be in the form of this Ornn. While Boost of Success wants to get that Mirror Mana upgrade, probably wants some boots too, but is just, you could look at the items here. Everybody on the side of Sparta are at least at 1.5. Some of them are really closely approaching 2. Some of my gaming are just finishing off their mythics here. Princeton going to save himself from a gank in that bottom lane with a nicely placed ice wall, but really going to just be forced back out of the turret once again. If you can't even get into your own blue jungle, how are you ever going to contest this dragon in 2 minutes?
Yeah, and Sparta again, they're doing exactly what they need to be doing here, pressuring their lanes. You look at these waves, they're all crashing almost simultaneously in the top and bot lane. Just really good management from them. And Stop Amy did go for the Leandres, so Ornn isn't going to be safe. Your Dibble is not going to be safe. These champions that want to build all this extra health and get these resistances, it's going to be really hard to deal that when there's a Leandris on the other side. So Sparta very, well, you could say smart with their optimization, but one thing I'm a little curious about is we do see Fallen Artemis does have a vampiric sector, but also has a Cloak of Agility in his inventory. So I'm not quite sure what we're looking to try to build that into. Maybe a collector angle for ourselves, maybe a Bloodthirster, but I don't necessarily know if that's the route I would be going with Graves this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, that is going to should be a little bit more of a waiting game as we are pending this next dragon spawn for the side of Sparta. It is going to be the Baron spawning on up at the 20-minute mark, right on time as scheduled. Not going to be in the sights of Sparta quite yet, though. They have a much bigger fish to fry for the time being. They're just going to clear on out their topside jungle. You can see solo lane has just been given full reign over there as they are going to keep muscle towards the bottom side to defend against any potential engages. Gaming Unleashed, they're trying to get the vision down. They've managed to step up in River. They were struggling to do this earlier on. They're actually going to go for this play. Dibble going on in with the flank, going to throw down the showstopper, trying to lock down onto at least one target. Cathaldus is going to fall on down there, and now it's 5 versus 4 in the favor of Omega Gaming Unleashed. That is a big true shot barrage coming on across, though. Princeton taken down to about half HP, got to flap his little wings and get himself out of there, has managed to do so. It's going to be a 5 versus 4 on the map for Omega here, but they're just on the wrong side of the track here. As now here comes the engage. That's Ragnarok Pop. He's going to jump right forward onto the side of Princeton, and the whole team is just getting melted on through by this Ezreal damage. It's just too much. They are going to trade back out of the Olaf finally, but at what cost? As he's just rampaged through the entire team. Fallen Artemis and Adjustment looking to take this fight in the 2 versus 3, but it's already going to turn into 1 versus 3 as it is going to be Senna falling on down. Graves going to join her. That's a full ace picked up for the side of Sparta here. They can crack open the base. They can get the Dragon Soul. They can get everything, Trajan.
Yeah, and with 5 seconds until the final elemental dragon of the game is spawning here, it's going to be an easy pickup for them here. Muscle has a Divine Sunder, can look to push his tier 2. Nope, will be backing off and just making sure that this dragon does get secured for his team. Infernal Soul, incredibly powerful on champions that want to be able to poke. So Olaf with his undertows, you've got the Mystic Shots of Ezreal, and then you have the Death Laser from this Victor. So OGU are now they're out of time, and that last fight for them was the best situation they could have potentially gotten here. A little bit of an exhaust action, spellbook from Simulacrum being put to some use, getting some unique summoner spells burnt, it looks like, but in a matter of seconds, we saw what went from a really good pick for OGU, where they were able to get a good death ball off of themselves, but it costs so much. The Showstopper, the Call of the Forge God, those are 2 team fight defining ultimates that got used on a Thresh, and because they didn't have access to those, the rest of Sparta were able to just kind of walk in there. They didn't have the ability to stop solo lane from just beating down onto Princeton, popping the egg, and at the last moment just kind of turned and booped Simulacrum to death and was able to pick up 2 kills for his own life, and at the end of the day resulted in Sparta winning that team fight.
Yeah, Cathaldus is willing to give his life as long as he ends up claiming that many resources away from the side of Omega Gaming Unleashed. They would really need to be able to get that pick on one of the carries to have a better chance of winning out on that fight. But now it's going to be the Infernal Soul for the side of Sparta for the rest of the game. Certainly sitting pretty here, have a bunch more damage. Is so good with this Ezreal and Victor in particular. They can just poke for so far away for so much damage. They're going to just pick up this Baron here pretty much uncontested. Nobody on the side of Omega seems to be able to get their way in here. They now know that it's going down. Boost of Success going to jump over the wall, going to claim himself that Blast Cone, and now the hook comes through on Fallen Artemis. He just gets one shot by Stop Me there. The ultimate comes on through. Boost of Success now is able to finish off onto the side of Adjustment as well. Everybody on Omega Gaming Unleashed just falling on down here. 4 members are taken on out as an afterthought, really, to the fight. They were just trying to secure the Baron. They are going to be able to pick that one up. Actually, looks like they did get a kill on the backside after all. Cathaldus going to fall down to the Baron, going to give that kill over to the side of Dibble, but once again, Sparta, they're willing to sacrifice Cathaldus if it means they get this much on the back end. They're going to pick up this mid inhibitor at least, and they might even look for a little bit more.
Yeah, Muscle was forced to smite early there to get the HP from the Baron to make sure that he didn't die, and at the very end, almost did in fact go down for it. See, the stopwatch has been used in the inside the base of OGU here, and it just looked a really bit of a split call for them there, right? You saw Simulacrum up in the top lane. It was getting run down by Ada, but oh, we have some more action.
Oh boy, another engage coming on
Oh,
through
that
here from
Olaf
the side
heal.
of Sparta. They are actually going to end up losing solo lane there in trade for pretty much nobody. Almost finishes off onto adjustment, almost finishes off on a fallen Artemis, and that's going to be adjustment getting sniped on down there by the True Shot Barrage. Muscle going to be forced to flash away as well. So my Gaming Unleashed, they're trying to stand their ground. He are able to pick up another kill onto the side of Muscle. He just steps too far forward while he's too squishy on that Trundle. Boost of Success going to jump on away. It's going to actually be Omega holding their line for the time being. They have stopped the push. They are going to stay in this game for at least a little bit longer. Boost Success going to find himself on the right side of that wall. Going to jump back on in. And the one shot once again comes through from Stop A Me. Just does so much damage in this Victor. He's got 25 stacks on his Magi. He's got every page he needs. He's read every chapter, and he's going to be able to finish off another kill there. It is 3 members of Omega Gaming Unleashed left to stand their ground here, but so much damage is being done by these carries. They just can't even put up a fight, Trajan.
Yeah, boosting success is absolutely massive. On 2 items here, has the completed Muramana, has that Divine Sunder. It is impossible to kill him. Oh, never mind. I take that back. He just gets killed. But
every time. And we cast or curse it a little bit here, but something that we certainly can't cast or curse is Sparta winning this game. They're finishing out off the Nexus here. They've taken down 1 turret. They're going to turn that into 2. Princeton and Simulacrum are up in about 3 seconds, but it's not even going to last that long. Fallen Artemis not going to be able to stage this defense all on his own, and Sparta are going to claim themselves game 1 of the series.
Yeah, what an absolute dominating performance for game 1 of Sparta here, coming out of the gate swinging. It does look like my camera is still unfortunately frozen, so please enjoy this delightful face of mine. I really, oh my god, I'm never gonna live this down. Anyway, a really great performance from them. You can kind of see at the end they got a little sloppy, but they were 10,000 gold up. They had Baron. They knew that essentially the game was over, and they just weren't allowing anyone from the side of OGU to really get that scaling potential for themselves. And it's because OGU, again, they didn't really have the ability to play aggressively in any of their lanes. They didn't have the priority to want to look for it, and because their bot lane was always getting pushed under Sparta's turret for so early and so often, it was just inviting Muscle to come down there and look for these ganks, and this Thresh was able to really punish them.
Yeah, no, getting themselves a massive lead in that bottom lane with the help of their jungler, getting themselves a massive lead at the top lane with Solo Lane all on his own just via the power of the matchup. Really feels like Omega Gamer Unleashed going to have to take a different approach coming into this next draft. But we're going to figure out your camera, Trajan. We're going to throw it to a quick break while we get into draft for game number 2. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to the Aegis Defenders League play-ins. Got Sparta taking game 1 up against Omega Gaming Unleashed here. They are now 1 game win tonight away from securing themselves a spot in the Aegis Defenders League playoffs. Omega Gaming Unleashed are 1 loss away from having to call their ADL season over early.
Yeah, and we can kind of see here now that both teams know what they want to know, what they realistically were looking to play for in game 1. Unfortunately for OGU, it just didn't go their way. They weren't given time to really scale. They weren't given time to, play safe and not have to worry about a trundle in your lane every 30 seconds. So we'll interested to see what alterations come out from the side of them. It does look like the Renekton is going to get banned here on R3 for Sparta. I don't believe that was banned in game 1. We'll see if OGU wants to get rid of anything else. So LeBlanc was their final ban here on the first round of ban phase, and it will be the same one as well. Really just not interested in letting Stop Amy play any of their signature champions so far from the split.
I have never seen a Thresh insta-lock so quickly, Trajan. That's that's already locked in, baby. We're on Omega Gaming Unleashed's pick now, as that worked out very well for the side of Cathaldus in game number 1. It worked very well for all of Sparta. Now it's up to Omega to show their new hand. What are they going to change here? This was the Senna set rotation in game number 1. Did not end up working out for them at the end of the day. They are now hovering onto this Rakan that has been one that Dibble has played quite a bit of so far this season. 4 games already. This will be the 5th. And now Olaf going to be locked in as well, stealing that one away from the side of Muscle.
Yeah, they really don't want a repeat of last game there, where we both thought. Well, I personally, I thought the Olaf was going to be in the jungle for Muscle here, but nope. Solo laner decided to take it top lane and show Simulacrum what a couple axes to the face can do to a goat. But we'll see what the alteration from Sparta is going to be here. Obviously, the Trundle still is available pick for them. The Iron is going to get hovered here for them, and this is a really interesting one. This tells me that they're going to be looking for some really aggressive lanes again, and it is going to be the Ivern locked in. So they're going to be matching early game aggression with early game protection. So a little bit of a departure from what we've seen in the past from Sparta.
Yeah, certainly is. That's going to be a first for Muscle. It's going to be a first for Sparta. But curious to see. This might be their tech up against this Olaf. We'll see. Does a little bit more protection to whatever teammate Olaf might be engaging on at the time. Samira now going to be locked in as well. They're going to be looking for a much more aggressive bottom lane now that they know they're up against this Rakan.
Yeah, and I really like the Samira lock in here. It is a, well, we could call it a comfort pick for a boost. Has quite a few games on it. The split, some decent performances across. I would say we're relatively average, but when you have a Thresh's Dark Passage to be able to save you, and then you also have an Ivern Shield plus a Daisy following you around, it's going to be really hard to burst the Samira, especially because Wind Wall. She'll have the her I forget the mythic item, the bloodline passive from her mythic. It's going to be a lot of additional shielding and healing for her, and it does look like it will be a Kaisa response here from OGU. So they're looking to match a little bit of aggression with aggression. I do like this here. Two short range ADCs are going to be naturally brawly, and Kaisa hasn't necessarily been in the best spot so far this season, but when you're looking at an Ivern and a Samira right now in the face, she definitely doesn't feel too bad, especially because her burst potential is so high.
Yeah, for sure here. The Kaisa, an interesting pick. I'd be going for a little bit more of a dive-oriented composition, especially now that they know they're up against this Ivern. Not going to be a really hard engaged focus, at least coming from the jungle position on the side of Sparta. So they want to make sure that they can get themselves in there. They can reach the back line, whoever it does end up being here. Yasuo going to be banned away. They're going to take that one off of Princeton's hands. The Irelia banned for Omega Gaming Unleashed. They banned this one in game number 1 as well. Do not want to see Solo or Stop Aim Me take that champion, and it's not going to be happening this time around either. See what other solo lane bans they want to go for so far. The blind pick for Samalkrim did not end up working out super well last time, although now they've stolen away this Olaf, so solo lane cannot go for it once again. See what Omega decide to go with.
Yeah, Seraphine going to be the last ban for the side of OGU. So they kept things pretty much the same for themselves. Really no alterations. They went, you know what? Our comp game one just didn't work. We're going to be going for something totally different here. So we see a lot of early game proactivity from them, a lot of good roaming potential from Dibble, hopefully on this Rakan. So they have the ability to be more impactful on the map in other places rather than just sitting under their turrets as they watch them get taken. And the last ban from Sparta does look like it's going to be the Akali. So we're moving some of those dive heavy assassin champions from Simulacrum's pool. We do see the Shen getting insta locked here. So yeah, OGU is going to go full on in on this dive composition. Being able to kind of protect their laner means that it's going to be really hard to make really protecting your carries in these dives. It's going to be relatively difficult if it's just Thresh. If Ivern's there, it'll be a little bit easier, but I would expect Sparta to look for another strong top laner here in the, oh, maybe just a cannon.
Maybe the Shen going to be coming on through to assist in those deep dives that we know Omega want to go for. The Olaf going to be able to pop the Ragnarok, bring that Shen wherever he wants to go. Rakan also going to be able to jump on top of them. Kaisa going to join as well. Very good cohesive team composition for the side of Mega Gaming Unleashed here, and one that could do a little bit more in the early game than that drafted game number 1. The Kennen has been locked in for the side of Solo. Going to once again be looking to bully onto this Shen. Should be another winning matchup there in the top lane for the side of Sparta. Now we'll see what mid laner they want to take blind. It was the Victor last time. Would not be too remiss picking it here, but instead it's going to look for a little bit of AD damage to flank on that Ivern.
Okay.
It is going to be the Lucian locked on in.
So we all know that laning Lucian kind of received a relatively large nerf this patch, but you have an Ivern, you have a Thresh. These are two champions that are gonna, well, one of the champions will be able to shield you quite often and frequently will be around that mid lane. So it'll be easy to kind of get those additional passive stacks for themselves here. And we do see a Yone and Zed getting hovered. It looks like it will probably be a Yone lock-in, maybe, or is that, oh, what's it gonna be? Oh, it's gonna be a Zed. Okay, so we have a
All
Zed.
right.
So OGU just they literally just want to kill you under turret on repeat, which I think for Sparta it just increases the value of this cannon, right? Not only is he going to be able to be a strong solo laner into the Shen, make itemizing really difficult for the side of OGU, but also if he doesn't have to follow the Shen stand united, he can just continuously push, get a lot of extra plates, get pressure for himself, and get this extra gold that will build a lead, and he will be able to just kind of maelstrom storm his way into these team fights and look to just one shot the backline, or in this case, half of OGU's team.
Yeah, for certain here, Omega Gaming going all in with this dive strategy here. They are not leaving a lot of space for plan B or plan C in this draft, and they don't have to face off against too many tanks here, so they should not be too concerned about the lack of diversity in their damage profile. Instead, they can really just look to dive over and over again and try to get those kills. They're going to have to start snowballing this game early on, though, Trajan. As you said, once this cannon is strong enough, it's going to be really tough to do much up against him unless Olaf is the one who's able to really run him on down.
Yeah, and the other thing too that we I didn't really get to mention here is that Lucian has received a relatively good buff to his late game again. His ult now scales with crit chance. You get more additional shots for every amount of critical chance you have. So in addition to be able to build Gale Force and build this Essence Weaver, so you're going to have a lot of high burst damage, but your ultimate is just going to absolutely shred through the side of OGH if left unchecked. So they really need to be careful from what Sparta's drafted for themselves, and this Ivern is going to make it so hard to execute these dives.
Yeah, definitely going to be a lot of defensive power on the side of Sparta here to protect against what Omega is going for here. That Thresh Dark Passage, also something to keep an eye on, how he might be able to secure some nice escapes for the team here. They do have some low range AD carries here in the form of the Samira, in the form of the Lucian. They are susceptible to the type of game plan that Omega is going for. So it's really going to come down to how these Spartan carries can execute. With that said, we're going to throw it to a quick break here where we get loaded on up into the game, but do not go anywhere. We're going to be right back to see if Sparta is able to secure themselves a spot in the playoffs, or if Mega Gaming Unleashed are going to take us to 3. Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to the Aegis Defenders League play-in. Sparta taking on Omega Gaming Unleashed here. They have already won themselves the first game of the series, and they are now just one win away from securing that coveted playoff spot.
Yes, and as we see, both teams looking for a relatively normal 5-point in this game. No shenanigans from Sparta. They got punished for it pretty badly last game, though it didn't affect the outcome of the game. But Muscle, looking at Princeton here, is going to root him up.
Yeah. All right, that's going to be that little little cue coming on through from the side of Ivern. They are going to secure themselves a little bit of poke damage, a little bit of an airy proc as well onto Princeton, but he should be just fine here. Should be able to regen back up before the laning phase gets started in earnest here. But that's a much less spicy level 1 than we saw in game number 1, Trajan.
Yeah, 100% here. And Muscle, again, at a champion that, yeah, you can take his camps early on, but punishing him really early isn't going to necessarily be the biggest thing for them. But Artemis is going to be starting up here on the top side, getting his red buff pathing down to the bot side. Really looking to try to put pressure onto this bot lane of Sparta here. You have the Samira, you have Kefaldis on this Thresh. There's no heal for the lane, just an Exhaust and an Ignite. So very, very vulnerable if you can get a third body down there, since you can't slow everyone. And it does look like the wave was not pulled here by Boost, so it will be in the middle, so it will not be a slow push into them. So they will have to be a little bit careful here. But it does look like they're just content pushing for level 2, trying to get that early game aggression rolling for themselves and get that momentum really picking up for them.
Yeah, definitely what they're going to be looking for here. Dibble posturing a little bit aggressively, but probably does not have too much in the tank in regards to damage he could do. Might have the Grand Entrance, not 100% sure what he's started yet. May not have even leveled an ability quite yet. But yeah, certainly is going to be the snowball potential of Samira, something we really have to keep our eyes on here. If they're able to outplay in the 2v2, if they're able to get set ahead by Muscle's ganks early on, Samira really is a champion that can just run away with a lane of
that hook!
That's a sick hook getting landed right through the minions by Cathaldus. That's why you insta-lock the Thresh on blue side, baby. as that is going to be resources blown from the side of Omega. They're going to have to chug some potions. They're going to be chunked out. They're going to lose control of the wave. Nicely played there by Cathaldus in the bottom lane.
That hook was the spiciest thing, and that wasn't even just like that crazy, oh, this hook shouldn't have hit thing. That was literally Cathaldus just went into the code, went, okay, this is where I have to throw it, and threw it, and was able to hit it onto the bot lane of OGU here. Now they both have healed up relatively well, but Double, more importantly, had to burn both of his health potions. So chugging down on the second one, they're not going to have the ability to sustain as well in this lane if another trade like that does happen to go down. And both bot lanes did hold onto their summoner spells as well. So this next trade could be lethal for one of the teams if they're not careful. Meanwhile, both solo laners just getting completely shoved under the turrets here from the OGU. You can see Kennen really just abusing that range advantage over Simulacrum, has him under half health, still has the health potion and the Doran shields, so will be relatively healthy through it. But in the mid lane, you can see here almost a 10 CS difference. Wave is pushing back in, and a gank is coming in now. So if you're Zed, you're not super happy.
Yeah, that's going to be another cube coming on through from Ivern, locking down onto Princeton. He's got the Ignite ticking on top of him. Fallen Artemis looking to pick up a kill here, but not going to be able to do so. Another teleport's getting channeled here. That solo lane coming in to back up his team. Going to flash forward, looking for the kill on Fallen Artemis here. Gets the stun off the passive. Now his stop aim me coming on through with the ranged auto attacks, trying to finish him off. Not going to get it with the piercing light, but it's going to be picked up nonetheless by the damage from that Ivern. Those ranged auto attacks, very powerful, very capable of taking on down Fallen Artemis for first blood as Sparta gets themselves off to an early lead.
Yeah, and this is well, it sucks that first blood went over to Sparta for OGU from their point of view, but if you take a look at things, the kill did go onto Muscle on this Ivern, so not necessarily the most threatening position. It's innately going to translate into more pressure in these lanes, but because it didn't go onto this Kennen, it didn't go onto Lucian, neither of them are going to be able to get that much more of a lead. That being said, they are going to be relatively advantaged in these lanes regardless. So Princeton and Simulacrum will have to be really careful still, as another hook just barely goes wide in this bot lane. Cathaldus is just out for blood at this series.
Yeah, definitely is here, and really showing that he's got some nice aim there with these fresh hooks. Here comes a Muscle once again getting pulled on in there by that Dark Passage, going to force the flash out of Dibble. No kills to be gained by the side of Sparta here, but they blow another summoner spell in the bottom lane. It's going to set themselves up nicely for a repeat gank later on.
Yeah, and Cathaldus sitting very, very comfortable with the Hex Flash available, going to be able to get a clean reset off for themselves. So when he comes back into this lane, it's going to be really dangerous for OGU. So I'm going a little aggressive onto solo lane here. Meanwhile, Princeton's continuing to just get abused in this lane here by stopping me on this Lucian.
Yeah, definitely is certainly a familiar sight from previous game, where once again it was stop aim me taking control of the lane early on. Solo lane as well was winning out in the top lane in that previous game. It's Malcolm has to be worried about getting solo killed here. Solo lane does not have access to the flash, so Malcolm does. He's gonna have to expend this here, or he's gonna die, or he's just going to die and manage to keep it still up. That is going to be a solo kill picked up for solo lane, as now he's coming in aggressively up against Fallen Artemis. He's hit level 6. He's got the Slicing Maelstrom. He's got the Thresh Hook over the wall. Not quite going to land, but doesn't even need to, as there's the Trigger Seed giving the shield, getting another kill for solo lane. He's running away with it in the top lane. Picks himself up 2 kills back-to-back. Now boosts success. Going to be forced to flash away there from the Grand Entrance, blocking out on a couple of shots there. Will manage to escape.
Yeah, and again, it's just Muscle's just living rent-free in Artemis's head this series. Knows exactly where he's going to be, knows where he wants to be, and Simulacrum was stunned before he was able to react and press flash. If he wanted to survive, he needed to flash before he got stunned, but unfortunately, because he didn't, it just resulted in his death. And this Kennen only had a call. Look at solo lane's items now. Has the magic pen boots, has the blasting wand, hasn't finished the call yet. This Kennen is absolutely online before anyone from OGU could even blink.
Yeah, that's a problem for the side of Omega Gaming Unleashed, to say the least, Trajan, as solo lane was winning the lane earlier on now and is now definitively dominating it. It has been the plated steel caps picked up for the side of Simulacrum here. That is not going to do very much to keep him safe up against these powerful Qs that solo lane has managed to continually land here. First Dragon going to go over to Omega Gaming Unleashed this time. They claim themselves a little bit something on the backside. despite their losing bottom lane. And Fallen Artemis now coming into the bottom lane, has the Shed ultimate on top of him, pops that ultimate, looking to pick up onto a kill. Dibble going to go in for the Grand Dash, not going to land it though, and he gets hooked again. Boosted Success picks up that kill. They turn it around, 2 versus 4. Sparta gets a kill and survives.
That was incredible play by the bot lane for Sparta there. The dash from Boosted Success to be able to get away narrowly from the Olaf Undertow, as well as the Shen as he poured it in with the Stand United into an immediate dark passage from Cathaldus. This bot lane is so in sync right now. They are absolutely unstoppable, and OGU just continued to try to punish them, try to make plays across the map, and this is what their comp wants to do, and they weren't able to execute it. And Muscle wasn't even in the area for that. He's busy top lane taking all of Artemis's camps.
Yeah, friend of the forest, going to be a friend of both forests this game, as he's continuously picks up onto those camps. Fallen Artemis is spending his time and efforts elsewhere. Daisy now going to chase down onto some Alcrim here, has found Fallen Artemis as well. Princeton is coming on up for the collapse, but he's a little bit late as Stop Aim Me has already arrived. They are going to disengage. This is now the fight, getting engaged in the bottom lane. Boosted Success has been engaged on, but is managing to stay alive, and there goes that killer instinct coming through from Adjustment, but the trigger is coming on through. Inferno trigger almost finishing off the kill, but Boosted Success going to end up going on down. Adjustment picks himself up a kill there in the 2 versus 2, and Omega Gaming Unleashed, just as we were praising their opponents, they picked something up in the bottom lane.
Yeah, really, really good for OGU there. Getting a kill onto Adjustment on this Kaisa, has a CS lead on Boosted Success on the Samira, and is able to now really continue to try to exert more pressure. Meanwhile, Artemis is just going to try to get in a 1v1 with Muscle.
Yeah, he did manage to pick on up that Scuttle Crab, but it's going to be at the cost of his life, as Stop Aim Me has collapsed on up from the middle lane, is going to be able to pick up that kill. Ends up giving it over to Muscle once again, actually, as now Stop Aim Me just firing off the culling, trying to finish off the 1 versus 1 out of Princeton. Flashes away from the shurikens, does get hit by 1, but he's going to get turned around on the Zed passive. It's too strong. Princeton picks up the 1 versus 1 in the middle lane, as Omega Gaming Unleashed laners are managing to fight their way back into this game.
That was an insane 1v1 from Princeton there. Really, really doing a wonderful job timing up the E with his auto attack to get off that last chunk of damage to finish Stop Aim Me. Both laners played that quite well, but Princeton is going to be the one that comes out on top here. And now Zed has a kill, has a Dirk, has Caulfield's Warhammer. He is in the range to one-shot people. So Sparta do have to be careful, because your jungler, your ADC, even your top laner, are going to be relatively squishy. They're not going to be building a ton of HP. So, and Zed, we know he is infamous for being able to just instantly delete people off of the Rift.
Yeah, and there goes Dibble going back on in, getting a bit of an engage, but definitely bites off more than he can chew there. The Flay comes on in from Cathaldus, and the return damage is huge between Muscle and a Boosted Success. Dibble is going to manage to escape there, but he's going to have to expend the flash and is not going to be able to help out up against this wave crashing down here. Cathaldus going to once again land the death sentence. He just doesn't miss. Trajan not going to end up picking up much off the backside that time around, but still just demonstrating the mastery he has on this Thresh. As Princeton coming on in here. Living Shadow comes on through double Shuriken, gets the Electrocute proc. Fallen Artemis is here as well. Boosted Success moving away. Muscle coming on in for the collapse, going to force the Ragnarok out of this Olaf, and once again, Omega sent 4 into the bot lane and get nothing for it.
Yeah, Trigger Seed Slow just came out a little too late there, unfortunately, just a second too soon. Meanwhile, Solo, Sports Simulcrum, this man just cannot catch a break. Oh my god.
Oh my
goodness. He's getting chased under here too!
Living up to his name here, solo laning with the best of them up here. Simulcrum continuously just getting forced out of lane for the 2nd game in a row, massively behind in CS for the 2nd game in a row. Plates going over solo to the side of solo lane. Next time he recalls, he's going to have even bigger item lead. Now it's going to be Stop Aim Me getting engaged on in the mid lane. That's going to be the ultimate coming on through from Princeton. Going to finish him on off here. Death going to pop Fallen Artemis. Going to pick up the kill. That's another kill going out of the side of Omega Gaming Unleashed. They're fighting back in this one, Trajan.
Yeah, I don't know if Artemis should have taken that kill there. I think it would have been much better onto Princeton, but the kill is still a kill, though, right? It was secured. OGU able to kind of start equalizing that gold difference just a little bit. Only a 1,000 gold lead here at the 12-minute mark, where last game we were looking at almost a 3,000 to 4,000 gold lead at this point. So really good on them to be able to continue this aggression. They're not trying to scale. They want to fight. They have blood on their hands, and you can see it. Fallen Artemis has been incredibly active on the map. Yes, he's died 3 times, but has gotten off multiple successful ganks, a couple unsuccessful ones, and is still maintaining a lot of pressure in this jungle. picked up the first dragon. Second dragon is spawning, making his way down there, and this is going to be another play in the bot lane. Stand United is available for Simulcrum. OGU just want to keep doing what their comp wants to do.
Yeah, it's tough to die 3 times if you're not active on the map. You got to be out there doing stuff to have to end up actually giving over those deaths. So certainly what we expect here from the side of Fallen Artemis, although maybe not the result that he would have wanted. Still managing to fight his way back into this game, picks himself up his first kill there in that mid lane engage, and now Omega Gaming Unleashed do have the opportunity here to potentially fight their way into this game. They've picked up a second dragon now. Once again, it's going to be the 4-man in the bottom lane. Once again, it looks like it's not going to lead to anything, and they're just going to return to their lanes, return to their previous activities, and Stop Me going to pick himself up a nice little turret plate for the trouble.
Yeah, that is a little bit of a misstep there from OGU, I feel like. We know Muscle is up on the top lane, did secure that Rift Herald for themselves. Only has 40 seconds to use it before the plates do fall. But I think if they would have just committed to the dive, they would have potentially gotten more off of it. They would have forced out the TP from solo lane, and Simulcrum did use the Stand United, it looked like. Was it mid? Yeah, it looks like it was mid. I guess I wasn't paying attention. But it did come out.
Might have gotten interrupted by solo lane's passive.
Yeah, something had to have happened, but that is a really big cooldown now for that's been used by OGU. The Herald, is it going to get spawned up here in the top lane? Looks like it might, as they want to just really crash down the turret. Oh, here comes the dive now.
Yeah, it's once again going to be everybody from Omega. 4 men in the bottom lane. We've seen this song and dance before, but this time it might actually work out. Boost of Success going to end up going down, as is Cathaldus. They're going to trade back out of Dibble, but now Fallen Artemis has to get himself out of there before he ends up going down to solo lane. The flash over from solo lane. He wants to carry this game. He wants to get himself another kill, but he might have just gone too greedy. He picks up the kill on a Fallen Artemis, but he ends up dying back on the other side. That's a shutdown given over to Fallen Artemis. Picks himself up 2 more kills in that fight all in all, and ends up getting himself right back into this game.
Yeah, and OGU with that are able to, again, narrow that gold lead just a little bit. It's going to get blown up here, unfortunately. It is a 2,000 gold lead for the side of Sparta, soon to be almost a 3,000. So 2.5 now is what we're looking at, just shy of 3. Because the first turret has now been taken. That top turret is ripe for the taking as well now. So it's just going to be a simple rotation to get that taken out here. So Sparta getting finally punished up in this bot lane. OGU doing what their comp wants to do. They didn't have the Stand United available, but they said, you know what? We're still going to send 4 people. We still have an Olaf. It's more than enough to be able to get us a kill there. The quickness from Double is an absolutely game-changing ultimate. And it's really what they're going to have to be looking for in a lot of these fights if they want to have any chance at these mid to late game team fights.
Yeah, important to note here, though, as Omega starts to even up the kill score here, the gold lead is actually just getting worse. Sparta continuously advancing themselves ahead here because of the CS differences they've built themselves in the top lane and in the mid lane here. They are now still going to be ahead over 2K, still looking to contest in these fights. The dragon count, though, is in favor of Omega Gaming Unleashed. See if that represents an opportunity for them to keep themselves competitive here. It is going to be the third dragon spawning here in just about 2 minutes. They're going to continue to want to fight for these and maybe stack themselves up to a soul with or without the gold lead.
Yeah, and with it being an Infernal Soul again, that is really good for both teams. OGU would be more than happy to be able to collect that for themselves, and that because they stack these early dragons, even if they're not able to secure the third one, which they really want to, they've importantly bought themselves time. Give Kaisa the ability to scale up, get a couple of items. Let Zed start hitting these really powerful item spikes. And we can see here, he went for the Yomu's Ghostblade first item, which is really interesting. That out of combat movement speed is probably one of the biggest contenders as to why Princeton able to look for these really aggressive roams very quickly and get from lane to lane without having to worry about losing too much when he's gone. And with that recent buff, it makes it a viable item again. Oh, Simulcrum's just taking so much damage.
Yeah, you went for the taunt under turret there, did not end up landing it. Now Fallen Artemis once again going to be forced to blow that Ragnarok pre-fight, as there's just too much damage coming onto him. The culling from Stop Aim Me going to be more than enough to force Fallen Artemis to continue to retreat away. Does not want to charge right into all those shots. So that is going to once again be river control picked up for the side of Sparta. Princeton just clearing on out in this middle wave. The reset coming on through from Fallen Artemis. Got a minute to go until this next dragon. Sparta have claimed the river for themselves, but the vision just gets taken right back by Omega Gaming Unleashed.
Yeah, Omega Gaming, they have the priority available for it now. They have the aggression, and they know that they have, well, realistically, a slight upper hand in these fights. Ken in his top lane doesn't have TP available to himself. The culling got burnt from Stop Me, which is a huge amount of damage for them. So they're pretty content with this, and the Ragnarok for Fallen Artemis is going to be back up before the Dragon spawns. Cathaldus is going to get caught out again, though.
Yeah, it's going to be the face check from Cathaldus. He gets engaged on. That is the death mark blown, though, and he's managed to stay alive as well. The Dark Passage comes on through, trying to get Lucian into everything, but it is going to be Cathaldus falling on down nonetheless. Now Sparta, down one member, wants to take the fight. Here comes the Slicing Maelstrom, going to stun up onto 2 targets. They're going to blow up Adjustment in an instant, and there's the Inferno trigger spinning across everybody. They're going to finish off another kill onto the side of Sammalcrum. 3 kills for the side of Sparta. They lose the first man in the fight, but they are the ones who finish it off, and they are going to claim themselves their first dragon of the game.
Yeah, Gordo, I'm getting flashbacks to game 1. Again, OGU had the pick. We're able to kill Cathaldus, but they expended so many resources just for the single pick onto just a support that it gives Solo Lane the ability to just get a huge Slicing Maelstrom into their team, stunning up the entire bot lane from OGU, picking up 2 kills for themselves really, really quickly. And now the dragon stack for them has been stopped. OGU does have that little bit of room to breathe, but you gotta feel like Solo Lane is just taking this team on his back and going, I'm not going to let you dive anyone.
Yeah, it certainly is here. And, I know Cathaldus is landing all these hooks and stuff on Mega Gaming Unleashed, but he's not actually the carry for the side of Sparta. But once again, for the second game in a row, they start off these fights by dumping every cooldown they have right into that Thresh. And once again, they end up losing out on a fight as a result. It is going to be Sparta now firmly once again in the lead, in the driver's seat. They got the most recent dragon. They're starting to stack that one up for themselves. They got a 4K gold lead, and they're about to collapse out of Sammalcrum. It is going to be the engage coming on through from Cathaldus. Doesn't land the flay, but might not even need to. There's the death sentence. He never misses these. And Sammalcrum going to end up falling on down. Spirit's Refuge going to protect him for just a little bit, but he does go on down to muscle at the end of the day. Princeton going back on in as well. Just going to get root collared. Now Sparta can finally disengage.
Yeah, and poor Sammalcrum is just getting abused this entire series, playing weak side, and it's something that he does quite well in all honesty. But Solo Lane is able to just continuously get these champions and get these picks that make his life a living hell, and that's not letting up anytime soon. Now that even though the turrets have fallen, Sparta's going, you know what, you still don't get to do anything when you're not on the map. It doesn't matter if you're on the gray screen. They can't dive us without at least losing 1 if not more members. And Solo Lane resetting here, every single member with the exception of Stop Being Me and Cathaldus for Sparta does have a shutdown. Cathaldus has been absolutely nuts this series on the Thresh. These dark passages have been really, really great, only seconded by these death sentences. As I say, he just completely whiffs one, but we'll pretend we didn't see that. That's deleted from everyone's memory.
That's the first one I think he's missed all game, and to be fair, it's one that he's just throwing in the wrong direction while he's trying to escape from another play. That's, you're right, it doesn't count, Trajan. And so gonna keep Cathaldus at that 100% hook hit rate that we've seen at least on camera for this game thus far. So now Princeton is waiting in the wings here, maybe wants to jump onto somebody, but we'll see if anybody from Sparta actually takes the bait, ends up stepping forward. Solo Lane is here as well, maybe wants a little engage onto Adjustment for himself, does have access to the flash and to the rocket belt. Not going to go for it.
Yeah, but Sparta know that something's up. OGU has the ability to get on top of these champions from them. They want to be looking for these dives, so they're going to be, Sparta's going to be very wise and make sure that they don't overextend. But the Baron is just going to get started up here. Moonstone Renewer is finished for the muscle on this Ivern, so these fights are going to be really, really hard to burst down if your initial burst just doesn't kill someone.
Definitely does it here. Is Dibble.
Oh, look at Solo Lane. He is waiting.
He really does. He wants to flash rocket belt ult. That's just, once he does that, it's likely going to secure the fight for the side of Sparta and maybe even the game as well. He is itching to get to pull that trigger, but so far has not gotten the opportunity from the side of Omega. Instead, just going to retreat back over to the bottom side here. They've got themselves the vision that they want on the Baron. They can take some time to scale up, and they want some more alone time in the side lane between Solo Lane and Sammalcrum, as there is just nothing that Shen can do.
Malcolm's just going, please no, leave me alone. I just want to see, as I only have 84, half health already, losing even more. Solo Lane's going to use his Maelstrom here.
Yeah, he might just be able to kill here. Fallen Artemis has arrived as well, just in time to get himself Maelstrom. The flash forward from Solo Lane to finish off the kill on Sammalcrum, and now can he finish off the 1 versus 2? He goes into the stasis to protect himself from the Ragnarok, and now that ultimate is down, he can finish off the double kill. 1 versus 2. Solo Lane picks up 2 kills before finally falling down to Adjustment, but that has enabled his team to start on off the Baron.
Yeah, and OGU were forced to make a play on that side of the map. They just lost 2 members. They can't contest the 4v5 Baron at this point. Muscle getting incredibly low, though, not choosing to summon Daisy at this point. Maybe you shouldn't be taking that, my friend. You have a Thresh that's able to do that. Princeton, on the waiting on the wings, knows that he can go for it potentially, but it will be picked up by the side of Sparta now, sitting firmly in the driver's seats of Game 2 of our series here. 6,000 gold ahead. Baron on 4 of their members. Importantly, though, it's not going to be on solo lane on this Kennen, so it will make split pushing for him just a little bit harder. But at this point, I think solo lane just welcomes the challenge. He just took on Fallen Artemis and Simulacrum in the side lane and went, what else do you have? And Adjustment said, well, you're gonna die, but it still took 3 members of OGH to try to put a damper on this Kennen in any effect. So it's feeling like Sparta just really just want to try to force a fight here.
Certainly does feel that way, and you certainly can't blame them given how the last couple have ended up going. Stop Amy coming on down from the middle lane as well. They just want to finish this off. They want to close it on out, and they want to make sure that Omega can't get on a soul point here. Here's the engage from Fallen Artemis. He pops the Ragnarok. He's got the Stand United on top of him. They're looking to get the engage onto anybody they possibly can, but Cathaldus is the only one who's really taking any damage. Who's success on the other side. Adjustment going to flash from the wall. That's the slicing Maelstrom coming through, stunning onto 2 targets. They finish them off right away, and that's the front line gone for Omega Gaming Unleashed. Princeton running onto the wrong side of the map, trying to finish off a kill, potentially onto Cathaldus. Maybe he can even do it, but it's going to be a little on the face of this dragon that the side of Sparta are going to be able to pick up. Princeton now gonna get shot on down by the side of Stop Aim Me. No kills to be gained for Omega in this fight. A dragon to be gained for Sparta in this fight on top of 3 members of the enemy team down, and they're just continuing to run away with the game.
Yeah, and that was I'll say it was a calculated engage from OGU there. They knew that solo lane had just used a Slicing Maelstrom in that bot lane play, so it was coming off of cooldown, but they didn't know exactly, okay, well, Stop Amy is just going to pick up a solo kill on to Adjustment, it looks like, with a little help from Muscle, but Muscle's, oh my god, the shield!
That's a fat trigger seed shield coming on through from the side of Muscle there. And you can see that dive was really assisted by that new Lucian passive. Getting the shield from Muscle gave him the bonus damage, which enabled him to finish off the dive onto Adjustment. That damage is just disgusting.
Yeah, it is spiraling out of control here now in Sparta. Now sitting almost 10,000 gold ahead here at the 24, almost 25-minute mark. Have stacked 2 Infernal Dragons for themselves. The soul is nowhere to be met at this point, and OGU know that if it gets to that point, the game is most likely going to be over, but they have to try to do something and buy time for themselves in this game. But right now you have a Shen who's got a bit of a garage full of items going for himself, can't really get anything going, and sitting on 3 completed items. This Kennen is tearing up this rift.
Yeah, he certainly is here. Solo lane running away with it, has the Void Staff completed as well, so can finish off the front line just as easily as the back line. 3 items finished already, and once again, Simulacrum is sitting on just components here at 25 minutes, facing off against the well and truly itemed up Sparta team. There's just very little options available for the side of Omega Gaming Unleashed. They really wanted to pick up these latest 2 dragons. They really wanted to keep their stack going, but it just has not worked out that way, as solo lane as well as his team have been able to dominate the fights.
Yeah, and solo lane with that attack speed from his ability and the blue potion just means that he's going to be able to push through these turrets so incredibly fast. Muscle stealing away the red buff boost success is going to be able to pick up a free parting gift from Muscle as well. And now, that hook.
We are coming on through once again. Dibble going to be forced to blow the quickness and the Stand United just to stay alive. And now, what does it even mean that Rakan is still here when you don't have access to those tools? Omega Gaming Unleashed have lost out on so much of their team fight power when they were already so behind. They just have no opportunity to win these fights now, and Sparta should just take advantage of it and push on into the base.
Yeah, and with those key abilities down, like you said, Gordo, like OGU doesn't have anything in the gas tank for them. They have a Zed mid lane, and they have a Shen that has less than 100 CS at 26 minutes. He can't do anything in the face of Sparta. Finish the Anathema's chains, but too little, too late. Another hook's
gonna land. Another hook onto Adjustment. This is a point-and-click ability when Cathaldus is playing on this Thresh here, and that's going to be the fight and likely the game for the side of Sparta. Slicing Maelstrom comes on through. They finish off the kill on a Dibble. Now looking to move onto Simulacrum. Inferno trigger is popped. Here comes Zed going on in. Princeton wants to try to carry this fight, wants to get himself a kill. He ulted Cathaldus again, even though there were carry players who were lower on HP HP, and now they're looking to finish off this inhibitor turret. They have finished off the opposing mid laner. Fallen Artemis and Smalcrum, the last men standing, and Sparta is going to crack on, open this base, and maybe even look for the win.
Yeah, they have solo lane with TP. He's going to reset, be able to spend his gold, pick up another rod for himself, get back into the base here, stopping any form of turret aggression. Another hook's going to land, and oh my god, he never misses.
And Smalcrum never going to get 100 CS here either. He ends up going on down before he can take over to those triple digits. The fight is just being dominated once again by the side of Sparta. This Lucian does so much damage, especially with those Ivern enchantments on him. Boost of Success is here to provide some extra DPS if they end up needing it. Muscle flashing forward on the Dibble, getting baited away by the quickness, but his team is there to finish it off the Nexus. Briston is respawned. He dives on in, going in for Cathaldus once again. Every fight, he's the only target at Omega Gaming Unleashed size, and they can't even finish him off this time. It's going to be another win for the side of Sparta, and they have qualified for the ADL playoffs.
Congratulations to Sparta. Very, very well-earned victory for yourselves this evening. That was a delight of a series to be able to watch, and we kind of got to see what feels like one of the better teams in the ADL this split for ourselves. They have showcased such good macro and decision making throughout the course of this split, even when we casted them previously, that it just feels like that they are setting themselves up for a very, very strong playoffs run this season.
Yeah, and in the preseason here, there was a lot of hype for this Sparta team based on the players involved, the ranks there. It was super yeah, it was super hyped coming on up into this season getting started. They were power ranked as the #1 team in the preseason poll here, and the fact that they ended up falling into the play-ins and then falling into week 3 of the play-ins after that was a big surprise for a lot of people. But Sparta manages to fight it on back here, and they do qualify for those playoffs here. Certainly going to be a force coming on in, despite being one of those lower seeds, and should be somebody to watch out for these higher seeded teams.
Yeah, 100%. They have been putting on a fantastic performance, and it looks like they're here and they're ready to rumble. We've seen a lot of flexibility from their compositions as well. Seeing an Olaf top lane is not something you see every day of any game, really. And this continued flexibility of being able to adjust their compositions and being able to adapt what the enemy team wants to do is really great for them. And I think that in addition to their truly great macro is going to be hard pressed for other teams to want to not only step to that level but also be able to find ways to look for chinks in that armor, right?
Yeah, for certain here. And now we're going to try to pull in Cathaldus for a bit of a post-game interview here. So feel free to hang on around. Meanwhile, though, we just keep talking about these games here. Omega Gaming Unleashed, they played hard, they played well, but at the end of the day are not going to end up qualifying for the ADL playoffs here. Came in with some very clear game plans, some very good drafts, but the execution just ended up falling a little bit short this time. And Solo Lane especially is just able to run away with these leads that he got in both game #1 and game #2.
Yeah, I really like the adaptation that Omega had throughout this series, right? Game 1, they went for a really late game scaling composition. It didn't work out. They got punished in all their weak side lanes and went, okay, screw it. We're just going to go for a straight dive comp. And a couple of dives didn't necessarily go the way that they wanted to, not because they executed incorrectly, but just because Sparta were able to play it really well. But they continued and they persisted and they played to what their comp wanted, and they eventually were getting these rewards. They were reaping some benefits, clawing their way back into a game. Unfortunately, though, Solo Lane just kind of became a monster and took over that game as this cannon. His Slicey Maelstrom was key in every single fight that happened. So it is unfortunate, but it is still really good to see them put up such a good fight throughout the series.
All right, and it does look like we have two members of Sparta joining us up on here. It is going to be Cathaldus and Boost. Welcome to the stream, gentlemen, and congratulations on your win.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely there. So excellently played series tonight, guys. You have now qualified for the Aegis Defenders League playoffs. What are you feeling right now in this moment?
You go first.
So I think I'm really proud of the guys because last week we O2'd and it looked like our mental was really low, honestly. And today everyone just came with all this energy, all this positive energy, and it kind of actually showed in our gameplay that we're probably one of the top teams here. Because when we're in a good mood, we could probably beat everyone, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, when we have solo lane over there, solo killing his opponent, I don't think we lose to any team.
Yeah, very, very true. And it was honestly watching you perform tonight it was a performance. You were all very much in tune with each other, on the same page, playing as a full unit. It was really great to see. But Cathalis, I really have to ask, what is up with your Thresh, man? You were hitting hooks left and right tonight.
I honestly haven't played Thresh in a long time, so that is my most played champion. I've pretty much played him for ever since he's came out, so probably like 7 years. So I think I'll never ever stop being good at Thresh. But for now, I'm drawing Zyra bans every game, so we'll probably get more Thresh if they keep banning Zyra.
All right, all right. Oh yeah, certainly some sick Thresh gameplay coming on through tonight. So you guys were, power rank super high coming out into the league here. You finished group stage at 4-1, just barely missing that free playoffs berth. Was it a surprise to you guys that you ended up having to play through the play-in stage? And how were feelings? You talked about how mental was pretty low after last week's loss. So how did you guys end up bouncing back from that to come on with the win here in game number 3 or in week
Well,
number 3?
Us having to play the play-ins like that wasn't really a surprise because we kind of trolled a lot of our games during the regular season. We kept going to game 3 basically every series, even though we were winning all of them. So I don't think it's any surprise that we lost the tiebreakers.
I mean, that's very fair. How do you think you stack up against the rest of the competition? I mean, like you've got Virtue Gaming Ambition, you've got MG Insurgents. These are two of your other top teams in the split. How do you think you rank when compared to them?
Not gonna lie, I haven't done much watching of the other brackets, so I have no idea. But I think all of us are mechanically good enough to beat anyone in this league.
All right then. And you guys are going to be coming in as a little bit of a lower seed into these playoffs, but let us know, does that affect how you guys feel coming on in at all, or do you guys confident that you could take on anybody and that you're going to perform well?
I think the fact that we're coming in as a lower seed humbles our team a little bit because there's a lot of ego that comes into play when we play these games. I've experienced it in our team chat, and when we make mistakes, I'm actually happy that we're admitting that we make the mistakes now. So I think with this like kind of lower seed going in, I think it'll actually push us to try harder and not, as Boost was saying, troll our games for a game 3. I think we should be able to sweep if we're on our game, A
Yeah.
game.
I mean, like at the end of the day, we're gonna have to go through all the strong teams to get to the finals, anyways. So it doesn't really matter what order we play them. I think.
All right, all right. Well, super excited to see you guys coming into the playoffs next week. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight, and I'm gonna hand it to you guys for one last thing. Anybody you want to shout on out before we call it a night on the stream?
For me, my boys, my team, especially my jungle muscle. He's been kind of down lately, but he really pulled it through today. So huge shout out to him. That's pretty much it. I love my team. They're awesome.
It's pretty much the same for me. I just shout out the team for actually having a good mental today. I really, really appreciated it. So just shout out to Sparta.
All right. Well, congratulations, you guys. I'll let you go back to your team to celebrate for the evening. We will see you back here next week, and we will see everybody watching at home back next week as well, as we're going to be starting off the ADL play-ins, but that is or playoffs rather. And that's going to do it for tonight's stream. So thank you all for tuning on in, and from myself, Trajan, and Ivar on production. Have yourselves a great night.